Speaking of good feelings, let me make a statement that may evoke a good feeling. And tell me what you feel when I say this. You ready?
I'm ready.
$250,000.
It was a beautiful feeling. It was success beyond success. How was that?
$250,000. And I'm not talking about what your business brought in a year.
Right.
A little birdie told me that's what you took on one deal. Recently,
one transaction.
One deal that you closed, yeah. $250,000.
It sure was. It was.
Talk to me about that. There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. People always say, Kris, how can I be a successful broker? It's two words, hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Entrepreneurs in Finance, where we interview former graduates and lenders of the CCTG program to get an in-depth view of their lives and what's going on in their businesses. So with this episode, I am excited to interview Ray Johnson of Barrington Commercial Capital. Hey, Ray.
Hey there. How are you, Kris? Great to be here.
Yeah, good to see you. You're, it's been a while. I looked back to see when you actually attended our training, and I believe it was in 2015. Is that correct?
February of 2015, the big snowstorm that I was late getting to the class, actually, so.
And you're from Georgia, correct?
I am from Atlanta area.
Yeah. So snow is, well, you get snow there sometimes, but.
Every now and then we get snow. I think on Christmas Eve, we had snowflakes, but nothing stuck on the ground.
Nothing stuck like we got the 3 feet here.
Yeah. I saw the pictures, man.
Well, listen, Ray, it's exciting to connect with you again. I do remember you. I remember everybody that walks through class. I certainly remember faces. And so, wow, 5 years. So we got some good stuff to talk about in those.
Yes, we did.
Years. But so let's do that. And first of all, what's that sign in back of you there? It's
that's my fraternity emblem, is what that is, man.
Okay.
I'm still very active with my fraternity. We do a lot of fundraising. We support a mentoring group, and we also provide a lot of scholarships and do a lot of stuff in the community.
Okay.
So I'm still very active with my fraternity, and
Great.
We do a lot of stuff. So.
Okay. Well, so take me back to what was life like before CCTG? What were you doing? What were you used to doing before you actually found this opportunity?
I was embedded in corporate America prior to coming to CCTG, and I pretty much gotten fed up with being in corporate America. Didn't like some of the things that were happening, and was looking for a change in my life and career. And did a little research, did a bunch of things in terms of trying to determine what direction I wanted to go, and found you guys, and after several interviews and what have you, decided to invest and come up to the class.
So you just didn't like being in that corporate environment. I mean, we all know.
I didn't. I liked some of the things. Corporate America does a good job of trying to teach you certain things about life, how business works, and what have you. But some of the politics, some of the ability to get things done, and also some of the rewards weren't commensurate with what I was expecting. So.
Okay. All right. Which is true for a lot of people that come through here. I think they kind of want to step out of that corporate America lifestyle, if you will.
Yeah.
And so what attracted you initially about this opportunity? Because there's thousands of opportunities out there that you could have invested in. I mean, what was it about this opportunity?
There were some who I thought that didn't provide the ongoing support. And I think when you're going into business, you're looking for not necessarily what will carry you, but what will support you in your efforts. I thought that your continuation of support throughout a person's journey in the finance arena was beneficial. I also thought the introduction of the lenders was critical. Mm-hmm. And you also provided the opportunity for the internet, the web page, the internet marketing, and so on. And I thought all of that coupled together gave me a great, what did you say, kick out of the gate, if you will.
A hard kick out of the gate.
I thought that's what it would provide.
Okay.
And I think it did do that. I think the course does a lot to show you what the product width is and what the breadth of the products are. And coming out, I think you do a good job of trying to share with people that you have all of these things, but you can't do everything.
Sure.
The best way of saying.
Were you nervous prior to coming to class? I mean, did you have like?
I wasn't, because my background is finance and accounting, and so I understood a lot about what was being said there. The types of things that were being discussed wasn't foreign to me, so I didn't have a learning curve from that perspective. Mm-hmm. It was good to actually be introduced to all the lenders and what have you, but the product, I had a strong product knowledge to start with because of my background. Mm. And my ability to also to analyze financial statements has continued to help me and further my ability to help people. So okay. I think the unknown was, how do you take your business in what direction, and how do you figure those things out? What does the marketing do for you? And so on. Those were some of the unknowns for me.
So you went through training, which, you survived. And
I did.
You're juggling a lot of things. Yes. Talk to me about when you got home, after that week 5 years ago. What was your original game plan? And has it changed in the last 5 years? I mean, what was
Absolutely has changed. Initially, I came out thinking, oh man, my background is business. I'm just going to be doing business, and business deals and business loans. Mm-hmm. My first loan out of the gate was a commercial real estate building that needed rehab, which actually started a whole trend, because most of what I've done subsequent to coming out of the class has been a lot more real estate than anything else. We do a lot of SBA and AR, some equipment, but the majority of what I do revolves around real estate.
And you didn't think about that. I mean, that you weren't really a real estate person prior.
I was not.
Yeah. So you were thinking business, and all of a sudden you got somehow a real estate deal landed on you, and you just got attracted to that realm.
I immediately, and I love the ability for real estate to be different in every transaction that we face. No matter what, because a hard money transaction is not like a permanent financing transaction, which is not like a bridge transaction in many ways. So those, all three can be very different in how you put them together. And also the types of lenders that can help people out with various deals are different. Not all are the same. And because of that, it makes every transaction, I think, extremely interesting. And if you're doing your job and listening well, you also are determining as you do that who it is that could be a great lender for the project that's in front of you, which I think is very helpful for the customers that we face. So no, absolutely. And clearly, you've kind of dug into a niche, and you're living a dream, so to speak. You're doing it. You've been doing it for 5 years. Tell me about, before I get to some of your successes, which, you're coming off a real big win, which I'll get to that a little bit, but okay.
What was some of your first year? What was some of the failures you had? Some of the things you had to overcome?
Oh my God, there were many. I think coming out, you don't know where best to put your efforts to begin to get a foothold in your communities, because to your point, when you come out of class, you've been fed so much and there's so much to digest there that many times you're not really aware of where your efforts need to be to get some rewards for it. So And I think coming out, some of the failures were every conversation you have with a borrower is not a deal.
Yeah.
And you think that coming in, it's like, oh, that's a 5 million, that's a 2 million. You know, you're sitting, they
Start counting it up.
every call sounds great, but you don't have the filter needed early on to determine that some of those deals are just people talking and not necessarily having any meat on the bones to make a deal work.
We call it the deal instinct, right? You have to develop a deal instinct. That the more deals you see, the better you get at
That's correct.
Of separating that stuff. We talk about it in class, but you just kind of have to go through that in your first.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I don't know if I thought I was pretty astute as a business person, having worked in corporate America and done so many things with finance. I thought I knew more than I did. And obviously I was slapped down very quickly in terms of what I didn't know. So I think that was part of it. And then also, what works best for you in your market? You know, we did a lot of, I like to say trial and error, because coming out of the chute, you don't know where your calls are going to come from. You haven't done some of the networking that maybe you need to do in order to start your phone to ringing. I think you talk a lot about in the course, you got to do things to get your name out there so that people will begin to call you.
Right.
And that didn't resonate early on, I think, until I got back into my market. And of course, one of the things that you focus on is, hey, you know, they're going to do this email marketing campaign. They're going to do this, internet marketing for me. All of those things are going to start the phone to ringing. And to an extent, they do once you start that. But what I saw early on was some of the internet marketing was people who were shopping, is what I like to call it. And it wasn't as concentrated as I needed it to be. And I stepped back from all of those things and realized that to become a force in my marketplace, I had to get my name out there, Barrington and my personal name, and start creating the right relationships. And initially I would drop into banks, and those banks were not as receptive to seeing me off the street because they had no idea who I was and weren't interested in taking a meeting and what have you. So then I started, I think the biggest thing I started to do was join a couple of networking groups. And many of them were closed networking groups where I was the only lender, and one of which I'm a part of, it's called, here in Atlanta, it's called Power Core. Some of the similar organizations around the country is called BNI or what have you. But in the Power Core group, I'm one of the only alternative commercial lenders in the entire city in that group. Right. So, and we're all the time being introduced because I have the opportunity to substitute in other groups and what have you, but we meet weekly. And the whole purpose of those types of groups is for people to get referrals and to give referrals. Obviously, giving referrals helps other people get credibility in yourself so that you become credible to them, and you in turn are now creating what I call an external sales force. And that, I think, has been the biggest impact on my business in terms of creating relationships, because I have an untold amount of commercial lenders at banks, mortgage lenders who don't do commercial lenders, they do residential, PAs and other types of professionals out there who are great referral sources for people in our business.
Wow. Yeah. So you really took the networking route to kind of build it.
And it's continues to pay off weekly. I mean, I make a point of trying to have 2 or 3 meetings out of my office with those types of people that I just mentioned: bankers, CPAs, business coaches, business consultants, and on. Just any person that I think is going to be meeting my type of people who have a need for financing, I'm taking a meeting with them and trying, even if I have to treat them.
Sure. Yeah. Buy them a beer or coffee or whatever the case is. And so, as you know, we spent a big part of class talking about that, how to network with the fears of influence to the business owner and or real estate investor. And it sounds like you just, there's multiple strategies to get deals in the door. That's just one out of many, but it seems like you really honed in on that. And that's what you practice week after week, kind of just keeping that network.
It's been the thing that's worked the most for me. And, to your point, there are other things, and, you continue to use your website, your internet marketing, your social media presence, which I'm doing some adjusting to as we speak. But all of those things have a way of creating the phone ringing.
Sure.
I have a campaign going on right now with LinkedIn where I'm going out there finding real estate investors, business owners, and saying, hey, let's connect. And that creates my presence there and allows me to connect with people who might need me but don't know they need me yet,
Yeah. I always say LinkedIn is a great database. I mean, it's a search engine. If you want to find certain individuals to target, LinkedIn is better than Google, if you will, to kind of find these people.
It is. And there are tools that automate a lot of that, so you don't have to get out there and do it on your own. But many people don't know about those things. And because they don't know about them, they don't know how to get out there and make those tools work for them.
Right.
But those automation tools, I use one called WeConnect. WeConnect is an interface with LinkedIn where you can go out and set up these searches based on what you found on LinkedIn and allow it to plow through thousands of names every day, actually. So I'm active every day out there, touching people, looking at profiles and what have you. Creates a presence for me and also creates a big network. My LinkedIn contacts are probably over 8,000.
Great.
We speak. So.
That's fantastic. And so that seems to be, I know I've been in this business a long time, and that network is always a huge component of this business. To, it's something that always pays off. For work you did 2-3 years ago, you're still maybe feeling benefits today.
Absolutely. There are people who you have meetings with a year ago. If they remember you and you made the right impression, and you stayed in front of them enough. When they come across the opportunity that they know fits your business, they're going to call you. I get those calls all the time. And because I constantly ask, okay, when do we meet? If I don't remember the name. And many times I don't. I'll tell you another thing I did, Kris, was I engaged myself to go and talk with a commercial real estate brokerage group, Coldwell Banker Commercial. Here locally. I go down once a quarter and I teach their agents, their commercial agents, about commercial finance. And I do that free of charge, obviously. But within that class, every quarter, they're pushing out 25, 30 agents every time. Plus, they allow their existing agents to come into the course. So every quarter, I get a new group of agents that only think of me when they think of deals. And that's a great strategy that works for me because all of those people are calling me to talk through their deals, every single one of them. And they don't have enough information in their own database or their own knowledge base to actually be able to put the deal together, even though they're the broker. And I help them understand that. I help them stop wasting time with people who don't qualify. I help them understand what products are out there and how they can use a hard money deal or a bridge to actually be able to help them sell the property.
Yeah, I always say those are, it only takes a few good realtors, commercial realtors to make a living or to give you substantial deal flow. And it's the old thing, right? I mean, cash sales are rare. So you're essentially helping them with their business, right? I mean, usually financing, they don't close a deal unless financing is in place.
That's right. That's right. And in these times, obviously, people are doing more Zoom calls now.
Mm-hmm.
networking and the network reach has been across the country, quite frankly. Just yesterday, I had a guy from New York whom I met on a Zoom call a month ago, who's calling me about a transaction he's doing in Florida.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he wants me to help him buy a property down in Florida. And I gave him, here's what I need to move forward. But the programs that we have access to are the programs that he needs to increase his portfolio and also, leverage his resources a lot more than what he was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And we that's one of the things that, I think COVID changed our business in that, with the problem with meeting people in person, people just adapted, went to Zoom, went to, FaceTime, and you can still do the same thing. You just got to use a device.
Do the same thing. That's right. And the relationships are critical. I mean, as I tell people, a lot of times when you're in a big meeting and you got, I don't know, it could be 50, 30, 40 people there. I think you have to pick out who it is that might be beneficial for you to get to know a little better. And when those calls are over, make an effort to try to get in front of those people, even if for a 30-minute conversation or what have you. That's been extremely helpful. The idea that someone in California has a person that they have a relationship with that might need financing happens, and you want to be in front of them when it happens. So, and that's what those Zoom calls have allowed. And then the meetings after the Zoom calls, I think, because I've been pretty diligent about attending and also scheduling some one-offs after those meetings. And I've already gotten deals out of several of those calls, man, several of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's obviously proven to work for you. I mean, you've had, you've been in this business now for 5 years. You're almost approaching that OG status, as we say. 5 years plus is a core group of grads, which we've interviewed several on the podcast here. But so tell me about kind of the progression of your business in the last 5 years. You've been growing it. I have. Right.
Well, there were two things. I think I'll start with. I got into business not wanting to be extremely large. I just wanted to, take care of myself. Literally, is what I wanted. But I also I was at the age where the next horizon is retirement, but I didn't want to retire, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be able to do something that I could continue doing, at infinitum, if you will, be remote and what have you. And our business allows for flexibility and the ability to be anywhere and work and still work no matter where you are. So all of those things I think have been beneficial for me. And it's every year since we started in 2015, we've grown. Past year, 2020, is actually going to be our best year, even considering that we didn't do anything for 2 months, 2.5 months, 3 months almost. We didn't do anything. I mean, no loans closed. There were many lenders, as you know, who stopped lending and what have you, and
suspended their programs for
happened this year.
Yeah. But despite all that, you're saying 2020 is going to be your best year ever.
It's going to be my best year ever.
Yeah. We've had several graduates say the same thing, and it's all about going where the opportunity is.
I think so, and I think that one, the relationship that I had created paid off tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, because of COVID, what I found after the COVID hit was bankers stopped lending at all. I mean, and even when they came back, they focused on, in my market anyway, they've been focusing on owner-occupied property, not investment property. So I've gotten tons of deals. I just completed a mobile home park, which it was better that the guy came to me because he was coming from the Bank of the Ozarks is where he was.
Mm-hmm.
To renew his loan. It was time for him to refinance, and they wouldn't renew it. All he wanted was a rate and term. That's all he wanted. Mm-hmm. He had a piece of property on front of the mobile home park that he had in his mind that he was going to sell at some point. So I we got a survey that separated that property out and refinanced the mobile home park. So now he owns that piece of property that's worth about $500,000 free and clear. He was overjoyed with what we did with it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
he was falling over himself for what we were able to help him do, because the bank wasn't going to do that. They were going to encumber everything, and just, even if they refinance at that with everything included. And we were able to break that property out for him, and also still give him a loan that was equal to what he already had. So he was extremely happy.
And wasn't that a great feeling?
Oh man!
At the end of the day, doesn't that what it gets you up in the morning?
Absolutely.
To live for that moment when you actually help somebody. Yeah.
It's an enormous feeling to know you're helping somebody that can't be helped. I'm actually trying to close one this week where another gentleman came from the bank, again, a bank referral.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an acquisition. The guy's buying an industrial building. And he obviously, when most people think of financing, they think of the bank. So he went to the bank. The bank could not do the deal because of their holistic approach to analyzing the transaction. His personal income wasn't enough for the bank to feel comfortable with their global review. So they couldn't do it. Guy has excellent credit. I mean, 750 plus. He has the down payment required, 25, 30% or more. He's employed, so he's doing well, but it's not actually germane to the deal. The income off the property was enough to sustain the loan. So we were able to get a lender to bite on it. And I'm simply waiting this week for the survey and the title work to come back. It's possible we can close this week. I doubt it. It'll probably be pushed to next week, but that's what we're pushing for. But that's a deal that came in also from the bank.
Right.
We get deals like that all the time, simply because of the relationships that we have and continue to cultivate, and are able to see based on that flow. Because again, they need somebody to be able to pass those deals off if they're not doing them.
Sure.
They're that type of institution, I should say. Because all institutions aren't that way, is what I found.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it's all how you approach that institution. You know, speaking of good feelings, let me make a statement that may evoke a good feeling. And tell me what you feel when I say this. You ready?
I'm ready.
$250,000.
It was a beautiful feeling. It was success beyond success. How was that?
$250,000. And I'm not talking about what your business brought in a year.
Right.
A little birdie told me that's what you took on one deal recently.
On one transaction.
One deal that you closed, $250,000.
It sure was. It was.
Talk to me about that.
That was a hospital over in Alabama in a rural community, right? And they had actually, what I found out was they had actually already been through the process of financing their deal with USDA, and needed to refinance because the group that they went through ended up sending some of the money back that they were borrowing. I don't even understand how you do that, but they ended up sending like $1 million or $2 million back to USDA, or for some reason or another. Anyway, when they came to us, the initial deal was they were trying to refinance their existing debt, $17 million. It ended up being a $25 million deal for us. Mm-hmm. We were able to, with Eric at North Capital, there isn't a whole lot that I had to do other than make the introduction, sit on the call and make sure that everybody knew everybody. And from there, Eric actually took it and ran with it. And,
and that's one thing we preach to our guys. Let the lender, once you make the introduction, you're that facilitator, but still let the lender run with it. So essentially you got paid $250,000 for making a call and hanging out on some conference.
It was the best phone call I ever made.
Wow.
I don't have a deal that's that big that we've done. And it certainly is the largest that we've ever done here at Barrington.
Yeah.
I'm looking to do more like that. I mean, and what's interesting is this. I think that obviously, I think that pushes us to greater heights. Like I said, we're going to have our best year this year. Well, this year is already shaping up to be a better year already.
Yeah.
It's already shaping up to be. I have on my board right now. I have 10 deals. I have a 1.1 million real estate, a 3.9 million real estate, a 7.5 million real estate deal, and then I have several smaller deals, and I have 4 SBA loans.
Wow.
4 SBA loans. 2 are real estate backed. One is 800. One is about $1 million. And I'm looking for another. I just closed one, and I got one closing in January, and then I got 3 that we just introduced to the lender. And in fact, I called the lender before I jumped on this call because I didn't have her needs list for the 3 loans that I had already sent to them. So, next year is already shaping up, and then I have a bunch of introductions to other people that I know are going to create greater relationships already. So,
wow, your pipeline, you're filling up your pipeline already.
Yeah. It's a great. I mean, like I said, I feel very, very good about what 2021 is going to do, in spite of what's going on. I mean, it's been a hectic year, but it's setting up to be a very good year for us.
And it's just you, correct? Or do you have other people working for you?
I have some broker relationships, is what I have, but primarily I don't employ anybody. It's just myself. I want it that way, Kris. When I left corporate America, I managed a lot of people, and didn't want to run to a business where I had to do that all over again. I do have visions of my son trying to join me at some point, but currently he's employed with E-Trade and really likes his own career. So not sure if that's even going to happen.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time. We've had a lot of sons come on board with their fathers, and they send them through training and kind of learn the business. So maybe you'll have the pleasure of doing that someday.
I'd love to do that, because I think it'd be a great opportunity for him to carry on something and do something I think he'd enjoy.
Sure.
He doesn't look at it that way right now, but he's in the finance field, and I think at some point he'll want to gravitate to what we're doing. What
are some things that cause you to frown? I mean, what don't you like about the business? There's got to be, there's always negatives, some negatives to any business model. I mean, what frustrates you the most, I guess I should say, about your job?
Time wasters.
Yeah, we talked about that in the beginning of this. Yeah,
I don't like that. And the other thing is, I don't like people who shop. I don't like people who are shopping. I think our business is one that solves problems. I know that's how I approach most of my transactions. And if there's a problem that needs to be solved, we can solve it. Will we be the best rate? I mean, if people can qualify for a bank, I tell them to go to a bank. I don't try to get their business and push it my way through some of the lenders that we have if I don't have a product that can meet their rate expectations. I tell them, let's not waste each other's time and go where you need to go.
Right.
And I actually tell people to go, and I talk to them about how to talk to the bank. I've had several interactions with people where they call and they want something from me, and I tell them, well, you just left the bank. Go back to the bank and say this, or tell them
to the bank,
this. And I can show them how to be successful because of my own experience, and also I know what they should be doing. Most of them, when they walk into a branch, they're telling somebody they're getting ready to start a business. That branch manager is going to push them over to a commercial lender. Well, we know historical information is important, and they don't like startups. Right. We can do startups, but if their objective is to have a nest egg, a line of credit, or what have you, I'm like, well, go in there as a consumer and tell them you want a line of credit against your house or something. We tell them how to be successful in those transactions. But if we have to help them, obviously we have a few tools. Some of our unsecured credit products and what have you can help them if we have to. And we've done that a number of times, actually. But, if they qualify for a bank financing, we push them over there. I'm working with a guy right now. it's about $11 million loan, and I'm waiting this week to see if we're going to get an approval from a local bank. And he'll pay me because I've already done a deal with the guy. He has this development on the south side of town that's been pretty much broadcast all over the country. It's called Serenity. We've already done one of his buildings down there. That's like a $3.2 million deal for me. And he paid me outside of closing, but I took him to a bank. And so, and I'm doing the same thing because he came back and he has a different request, but it's a much bigger transaction this time around. So we'll see. But I am waiting right now for that approval this week if we can get it.
Good for you. Yeah, good for you, man. Well, I mean, sounds like you guys are. I mean, you're kicking ass, as they say, and you're heading into a great 2021. And so I really wish you, keep it up. I mean, you're on this podcast for a reason. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and clearly it's showing. It's paying off.
We've had some great success, Kris, and I think obviously coming through the class, I do get a call here and there about the class and what do I think about it, and I always promote it. I think that it's a great benefit to somebody trying to get in our business, and I also think that they get support that they can't get anywhere else because some of us do need a little bit of hand holding, and you guys provide that.
I appreciate that.
What the course has provided me with, and certainly it jump-started my business, and we continue to make calls up there. I continue to sit in on the weekly calls with the lenders. And I had USDA and Eric on my list to call, but before I called him, I called Scott, and Scott actually recommended Eric. He probably doesn't remember that, but he's the one who actually recommended Eric. So
yeah, they're good guys over there. I actually interviewed Eric.
Oh, did you?
Eric, yeah, he's on the podcast as well. We actually have some similar paths in life that we didn't really know about that we discovered on.
Is that right?
Yeah, great guy. They're all of them over there. Yeah.
He is. His home base is in Georgia, not far from my hometown down there in Albany, Georgia, which is where I'm originally from. So he's down in Valdosta, which is about an hour from my hometown. So we had some similar things to talk about, but it's been a great relationship getting to know him and pushing that deal through. It's a group to work with. And I actually am, we're trying to schedule a visit to another location here in Georgia for another project that we are trying to line up. So
good. That's good. Well, are you ready for, I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions, kind of non-related to your business. So, okay. You ready?
I am.
All right. So I always like to ask graduates this, and I'm always entertained by the answers, but, if you didn't find CCTG, you weren't doing the business that you're doing now, and you can kind of transpose yourself into a career immediately without going through all the hoops and hurdles, what would it be for you?
There were two I think I'd like to do. College professor, because I like teaching. I really do like teaching, and I like helping people. And the other would be a high school football coach.
High school football coach, okay.
I like football a lot, and I like the influence that those coaches have, and teaching the critical elements of life through sports. I like that.
Did you? What's interesting is, were you part of NACLB this year, or did you?
I didn't do the virtual. I did not, but obviously I've participated years before. But I didn't do, and I saw Joe Theismann coming. I was
you missed out on Joe Theismann. He talked just about that, and actually we had a podcast. I interviewed him here.
Wow!
He came in here to the office, and we talked about parallels to football and business, and how it's not much different.
Oh my God!
Similar.
They are. What's amazing to me is that too many times you look at a guy who has had success in sports and that doesn't translate to his personal life. But I think they know how to use the lessons that they learn in athletics irrespective of what kind it was, and apply that to their personal life, because everything you learn in sports applies. Everything.
Sure.
Or you have goals, you have to work hard, you have to, work with people you might not agree with or get along with. Just all the things that are about teamwork and so on, they apply immediately to business and also your personal life. But I'm amazed at how often people who are ultra successful in the athletic or sports world can't translate that into their personal life. And it's just amazing to me. And I don't think that they see what those lessons are, because if you play sports, I don't care, even if your daddy tried to have you on all the winning teams that he could in your life, you're going to experience failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you have to learn how to overcome that. And I think that applies to life in general. You're gonna see the ups and downs of life, and you need to get through them.
Yeah, and we also interviewed, it comes to mind, we interviewed Jonathan Baldwin, who's an ex-NFL player who came through training. He's a grad. And so I
you know what? I saw him in the book. I didn't meet him, but I saw him in the book that you did in Vegas when we were in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. He was
in that book. I still have that book.
Yeah, Jonathan Baldwin. I interviewed him, and he talked about that, how he was able to do that successfully. Take what he learned on the field, and then kind of, and he's one of our superstar grads. I mean, he kills it. He kills it.
That's great, man. That's what it's all about. That's what I would do. Those are the two professions I think that I would probably be in if I wasn't doing what I'm doing.
Now, what's one thing that we wouldn't normally suspect or know about Ray Johnson? Besides that, you like football. Besides that, you're obviously good at business. You're having massive success with your loan brokerage. But what's one thing we don't really know about you that normally you wouldn't suspect?
I was on a debate team in college. That's one. I was SGA.
Do you like to argue?
I like to debate. Let's be clear about what that word is.
All right.
I like to debate. And I was also SGA president, student government president. And when I was I was a junior class president in high school, obviously captain of the football team, and student government president in college. My last year there, I was student government president. So I've done some good things in terms of trying to help other people achieve things. So
sure. All right, last question I have. So if you could meet with somebody and maybe get, sit down and have dinner with somebody, either that has passed on or currently living, anybody in the world, who would it be?
That would be Frederick Douglass for me.
Frederick Douglass. Okay.
I'm amazed that, and obviously there are other people, but I'm amazed at what he accomplished in his life in a period of time where it wasn't meant for him to accomplish things. And he's really known even now for being, this person who promoted, equality and what have you, in a period of time where he was born a slave, and became a person who spoke out in spite of those things that were all against him. I just think that would be a fascinating conversation to have about, what was he thinking as he was going through some of those things and accomplishments that he had in his life. And there are a number of other people who have similar types of stories. I mean, Harriet Tubman comes to mind, or Booker T. Washington. Because, we live in a time where there's a lot of upheaval about race, about people getting along, and some things have changed, but some things still haven't changed. And I just think that those in their life will be very, very interesting to talk about, and the things that they endured during their life and how they overcame what their challenges are to be the people that they became. So.
Yeah, that's a first that I've heard on here, and wouldn't disagree with you though. It's a fascinating journey, and like you said, interesting time he lived in and what he stood up for. All right, well, now comes a good time for kind of turn the tables here and You get to ask me a few things, anything you want, personal business. I've been asked weird things on here before, so you're not going to offend me. Believe me, I got thick skin.
Well, I don't know if I can think of things that might offend you, but I have two. Where did your interest in cars develop? Because I understand you have a strong interest in cars.
I do. Well, I guess my interest in cars developed at a very, very young age. My father, growing up, did a lot of different things to make money. He was kind of like a hustler. He did this, he did that. I mean, he provided for us. We never made it rich or never made a hell of a lot of money, but he always did things to try to generate money. And one of the things he got into was he owned a little used car lot for a short segment of his life. And I remember he used to have these cool cars come in and out of that lot, and he used to pick me up from elementary school. And that's for the first time where I really developed my interest in cars. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And as growing up as a little boy, most kids don't want their parents to pick them up, right? I mean, they're saying like, meet me 2 blocks down the road, but he always had these cool, interesting cars. I always used to say, I used to make my friends gather around and say, hey, watch me get in this car. And it was like since he was a car dealer, it was like a different car every day, So that's where I really, grew, or at least grew my liking to the car world.
Cool. I had another one was, how has the internet changed your thinking on growing a business?
That's a good question, because when I came into this business 22 years ago, there was the internet, but the internet wasn't the internet what everybody sees today. I mean,
that's correct.
It was real dial-up AOL days. I mean, even before that, it was a mess. But so to see the change is a really fascinating perspective, at least that I have. It's changed it 100%. I mean, people go online now to look for money. They do. Yep. They actually go online and make decisions on how to get money and compare things. And so I always say, look, I mean, you gotta be online at some point. And if you're not, you're missing out on a huge segment of this business. I mean, long gone are the days where people would say, well, I'll think about having a website. I'll think about having it. Now it's a necessity.
That's right.
And what changed now in the last 10 years is it's no longer like, okay, I have a website, great. But now you have to obviously drive traffic and be visible to the website to get the benefit out of the website. Otherwise, it's just a billboard with nobody going by. So it's changed this business dramatically. And I think for the better, because for a loan broker, commercial loan broker, it allows you to reach audiences that traditionally you'd have a tough time reaching. Case in point, you could be in Seattle and have clients in New York, and you could reach those clients in New York very, very effectively. And that's how the internet has changed the game for our business.
Yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, the fact that we can work anywhere we are is a function of the internet and its ability to reach people wherever they are.
Sure.
So much of what we do doesn't necessarily involve face-to-face interaction. Right. People are sending documents and what have you.
Well, and support this, because a lot of people have this weird preconception coming in here prior to taking the class that like you got to meet the borrower you got to go to closings. I mean, how rare is it to meet a borrower? Pretty rare, right?
Extremely. Yeah. Extremely.
Right.
I think in 5 years I might have met 5 borrowers.
Yeah.
And 5 transactions, and it only because they thought it necessary that I meet them. Outside of that, you don't have to. And I've only gone to, I think, 2 closings in 5 years, just 2. Everything else is handled. Well, I don't have to go, and I don't go. I don't think I need to. I don't need to be there.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, all right. Anything else?
I think those are the only 2 that I had.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I think that's all the time we have for this. It was my pleasure connecting with you again and learning a little more about you. And it really makes me excited and proud that you walked out of here 5 years ago, and now you're living your dream. I mean, you're not working in corporate. So I guess that was goal number one, to get out.
Goal number one, achieved, and never looking to go back. That's the other thing, man.
Yeah.
So we had to make this business work, and we have.
You weren't 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You just jumped right in. Yeah.
I never, when I came to you guys, I had already left corporate America. I had, in fact, I had left corporate America, found out I had prostate cancer and had treatments. And my treatments were maybe a month finished when I came to your course.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
So I had just finished my prostate, I had the surgery and all that. And when I went to your class, I was fully recovered from that surgery, which is why I did it when I did it. And when I came out, I mean, my head was down, focusing in on organizing, getting the website and all that kind of stuff. And I was running. I never looked back. I never looked back. I never interviewed for another job. So.
Great. That's great. That's great. Well, Ray, listen, it was my pleasure of Barrington Commercial Capital. Thank you for kind of donating this time to be on this show. It really helps people out, believe it or not. I mean, people get a real in-depth kind of sideline look at you and I conversating, and to get an idea of what life could be like if they work hard. I'll stress that if they work hard, they come through here and they work hard.
Yeah, it still involves work, Chris. There's no free lunch, man. What's interesting is either you have a work ethic or you don't. And if you have one, it applies to everything you do. And I think that I brought that. So I didn't develop that. I already had that. But now you're applying it to something that you want to do that's for you, and the rewards are yours. That's beneficial. I know it's helped me a lot having one. Since COVID, obviously you see I'm in my office. I don't work from home. My wife retired. I was working from home, and my wife retired. When she retired, within 2 days, I had my office. And here
I can read between the lines there. Believe me.
That didn't work, man. So
yeah.
But I come into my office every day. Every day, I get up and I walk in here, and we conduct business. When COVID wasn't happening, I had a lot more meetings outside of here. But since COVID happened, I've been in this office every day subsequent to COVID shutting down everything, including when they were shutting down. And we were able to do that and effectively continue to work. Even when we weren't making loans, I was still working. So
Good. Good. All right. Well, thank you, Ray. Appreciate it. And look forward to seeing you possibly in NACLB 2021.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Chris. I really enjoyed it, and look forward to more meetings like this.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Entrepreneurs in Finance with Ray Johnson of Barrington Commercial Capital. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch, not only see past episodes, but future episodes that come out every month here. So we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you. There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. People always say, Chris, how can I be a successful broker? It's 2 words, hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business.